Hey guys, today I'm going to share with you a recipe for one of my favorite French desserts, known as a Paris-Brest. This dessert actually dates back to the 1900s when it was invented to commemorate the bike race that went from Paris all the way up to the city of Brest in northwestern France. You can see how the shape resembles a little bike wheel. It's also popular at Christmas time because it can also look like a little wreath. This episode is dedicated to one of my subscribers named Rodrigue. Rodrigue grew up in a French-English family, and so we're always comparing notes of our franglais experience. Rodrigue wanted me to make this for him at Christmas time when I was really in the middle of so much that I just couldn't get to it, but I promised him I would do it right now during the Tour de France. This is the big bike race that's going on in France right now that has captured my husband. He is stuck in the TV room, glued to this race. He loves it every year. He also loves this dessert, so I thought if I could make it for him this time of year, I might be able to lure him away from the television set. You guys will love this dessert. It is so delicious, but I will warn you, it's also a little bit tricky. But not to worry, I'm going to give you all of my foolproof tips and techniques so that you can pull it off like a master. We're first going to prepare the ingredients for our choux pastry. Now you may know this because you've seen it in an eclair or a profiterole, or oftentimes it's used in a cream puff. It's really delicious, but it can also deflate pretty easily. So I'm going to show you how to prevent that. So we're going to mix together our dry ingredients, starting with a cup of flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of sugar. Go ahead and just give that a whisk and you can set it aside. Then in a large saucepan, we're going to take 1 cup of water and 10 tablespoons of butter. We're going to bring that to a boil just until it's bubbling and the butter is melted. Meanwhile, you can prepare a couple of other things. You want to have a wooden spoon and 4 eggs that have been lightly beaten. Once that water is bubbling, you can then add in the flour and start to stir it with that wooden spoon. Now at first it's going to look like a big sticky mess and you're not going to think it's going to come together, but it actually does. The more that you stir it, the more that flour and the butter will combine and the dough will start to pull away from the saucepan. And at this point you can also lower your flame a little bit because you don't want to scorch it. And once it really pulls away and forms a nice little ball, you can turn off your heat. Then you're going to make a little indentation in the dough and we are going to slowly add our eggs on top. I like to add the eggs on top of the dough just so that the eggs don't get scrambled if it hits the hot pan. But again, you're going to start stirring with that wooden spoon and you're going to think, oh my gosh, this isn't coming together at all. It's going to feel like a big slimy mess. Don't worry, keep going. The more you stir, the more those eggs will incorporate with the dough and it will actually come together in a nice sticky paste. That's what you want. Once your dough is cooled down, you're going to take a pastry bag and fit it with a 1/2 inch round tip. You can pull back the pastry bag, and I like to rest it in a little Pyrex pitcher because I find that it's a great place to hold that pastry bag while you're kind of maneuvering it. Then you're going to take out a cookie sheet with some parchment paper. Then to make sure that all of your rings are roughly the same size, I like to take out a biscuit cutter that's about 2 1/4 inches. Then you're going to take out a pencil and trace the shape, and then you're going to make 6 circles, giving each one a little bit of room in between. Then you're going to flip the parchment paper over because we don't want to pipe down on the pencil. You want to actually just have it show through on the other side. And then before we pipe our dough, this is what you want to do. You want to take out a little cup of cold water and have a spoon sitting in it at the ready. I'll show you what you're going to use this for in a minute. Then you're going to take your pastry bag and you're going to trace the circle. You just want to make a nice smooth piping on top of that pencil all the way around and then create a second layer all the way around. You're going to do that for all of your rings. So here's why you want the spoon with the water. This is going to allow you to kind of shape the ring if you had a little mistake here or there. So you're just going to take your spoon, dip it in the water, and then gently just sort of touch the dough if you have any pieces that are sticking up, or if you want to get in the ring and kind of shape it more like a circle. The dough is really sticky and it helps to mold it if you have a spoon that's been dipped in some water. You can also do this with your hands too. Then you're just going to sprinkle the tops with some raw sliced almonds. And then 2 tips before putting them in the oven. Tip number 1 is make sure that your oven rack is on the lower third. That will prevent the tops from getting too browned while they're in the oven. The other tip is you cannot open the oven door. I know that it's tempting because you see them rising and you want to open it and check on them. Don't do that because these things will have a real tendency of deflating and you will end up with little pancakes like this. So don't open the door. You have to let them bake for at least 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes is up, you are then going to reduce your oven temperature to 350 and allow them to bake for 30 to 35 more minutes. Now at this point, you could look at them and think, oh, but they look so brown. Maybe they don't need to bake that long. They do, trust me, because what is actually happening is it's actually drying out inside. And this is going to allow for us to be able to cut them in half and fill them with the pastry cream. If you don't let them bake that long and they don't dry out inside, they will also have a tendency of deflating. So you don't want that to happen. So make sure you go the full 30 to 35 minutes. At that point, here's my other tip for you. You want to go in and turn off the oven, open the door, and then take a knife and make a little incision on the half of each of these rings. What that's going to do is allow all that steam to escape and again dry out the inside of this choux pastry. That is also going to help the pastry retain its shape and not deflate. So you want to let them sit in there with the door open for at least 10 minutes. And once you've waited the full 10 minutes, you can then remove the tray from the oven and place it on your countertop just at room temperature until you're ready to fill them. So the next step of the process is to create our delicious pastry cream. So what we're going to do is take out a large saucepan. To that, you're going to add 2 cups of whole milk and 1 vanilla bean. I like to scrape out the paste of the bean and also throw in the pod at the same time, and that way our milk, as it simmers, is going to become beautifully infused with this delicious vanilla flavor. While you're waiting for your milk to simmer, you can take out a large heat-safe bowl. You're going to add 4 egg yolks, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now, if you're not familiar with cornstarch in other parts of the world, it might also be known as corn flour or maize starch. It's a really great thing to add when you're trying to create something that has a great thickening consistency to it, like pastry cream. If you can't find it, a great substitution is also arrowroot. You could just use 1-to-1 ratio. You can find it in health food stores, or you could also use flour, about 1/4 cup, but I really think that the cornstarch works best. So if you can find it, I think you'll be happier. So you're just going to whisk that mixture up until you have a nice yellow paste on your hands, and then you can set that aside. At this point, your milk is probably nice and simmering, and you can go ahead and pour it through a sieve, which will catch the vanilla bean, and then slowly whisk that milk into the egg mixture. You want to do it quickly and a little bit at a time because you don't want those eggs to start cooking. You basically want to do it a little bit at a time, and that will help temper the eggs until all the milk is incorporated. Then you want to take that saucepan and rinse it out because some of that milk sometimes has a tendency of scorching, and it's better to start with a cleaned out saucepan. Then go ahead and pour that mixture into the pan. Heat it until it starts to boil. You want to be whisking all the while because the pastry cream can scorch pretty easily. Once it starts to boil, you'll see that it'll start to thicken. And once it gets really thick, like the consistency of a pudding, you can turn off your flame. So now for the secret ingredient. Normally, a Paris-Brest has a praline flavor. So you make your pastry cream, you pop in a little praline paste, or you make your own, which is really labor intensive, and then you have a beautiful praline pastry cream. Here in the States, we cannot get praline paste. So I found a little cheat. Now I know, Roderick, I know this is not authentic, but I'm telling you it actually works perfectly and it's quite delicious, is to take 3 tablespoons of Nutella. Because then you get that beautiful hazelnut flavor and the benefit of a little chocolate as well. Can't be bad, right? So you take 3 tablespoons of the Nutella, give it a little whisk, and then just to finish it off, to create a really nice smooth finish to it, you're going to also add a tablespoon of butter. Go ahead and give that a whisk, and you'll see you'll end up with a really smooth, chocolatey, hazelnut flavored pastry cream. You're then going to take your pastry cream, transfer it to a shallow bowl. That will help it cool down a little bit faster. And then cover it with some plastic wrap so that a film doesn't develop, and then you're going to pop it in the fridge until you're ready to use. Then when it comes time to filling your pastries, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take one of your rings, you're going to slice it in half, keep the top right side up and just set that aside, and then take the bottom and we're going to fill this with our chocolate hazelnut pastry cream. So you're going to transfer it into a pastry bag fitted with a star tip, and then slowly pipe out little star mounds all the way around your ring. And then you're going to place the other half on top, and then you're going to cover the whole thing in powdered sugar. And you will see you will have one beautiful little pastry waiting for you. You're going to repeat the process for the other 5 rings, just cutting them in half, filling them with the pastry cream, putting the other half on top, dusting them with sugar, and then when you're all done, you can place them on a cake stand that you plan to serve the desserts on. And the nice thing about this dessert is it can be made in advance and then just lightly cover it with foil and pop the whole thing in the fridge. I love this dessert because it is so delicious and sophisticated. People are always so impressed by it. It's the perfect thing to serve during the holidays or at a time like this when you want to celebrate the Tour de France. I hope you guys give this one a try and let me know what you think. And Rodrigue, I hope you give this one a try and let me know what you think. I know that you've got some family secrets when it comes to this recipe. So guys, if you see Rodrigue end up in the comments, be sure to ask him, what are your family secrets? I'd like to know too. All right, you guys, I will see you back here next week for another delicious recipe. Until then, bye.